my lord. Where'd my hat go?
So redo. Welcome to Pillage Overload.
See, we thought we were going to be like technically advanced, have 2 microphones, and there we go. So this is why also we come on early. So we only lost 6 minutes.
All right.
Oh,
so
we
there you
did
go.
that. That's cool.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah looks great. Thanks, Todd.
We can't boot you off, Todd.
Because I was clicking around. It went off the comment. So the voiceover tonight is amazing. Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate that. Testes 1, Testes 2. Yeah, we had lots of Testes tonight. Yeah, I know sound was cutting it out. We were working on it. Love the signage. Which one? This one?
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign. I hope everybody had the room. Hi, Adam. Hello. Sound is chopping. So I think we got that fixed. Catching up. Yay. Very shortcuts. I can still understand what you're saying. There. Now y'all only 6 minutes. All right, cool. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. Holy Lord.
So we got one good mic.
So let's do that again. All right. So
welcome to Pillage Overload. And with that, I think we just need to jump into chat. # drink more.
Yeah. Let's test the drink.
So this week's drink, we decided to do a second version of Shipwreck. It's Shipwreck Punch. What was it? It's coconut rum, spiced rum, pineapple juice, orange juice, and lime juice.
Yes.
So no soda. I think it had a couple extra things, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good
soda,
one.
all goodness.
Also a good shot. Now I'm going to chug this. I'm going to need it after that drama.
Ooh, that's good. And I used...
Oh, that's strong. Good. That's the 100 proof.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it's good.
I used the...
Never dull. I bet, especially with us technology.
I used the pineapple juice from the big can.
Ooh.
All right.
3.
So, let's move this a little.
There is no business like show business. It was fine right there in the middle because I could hear it's good right there. Stop touchy. No touchy. Leave it alone.
All right.
You're not. No one's allowed to touch the microphones anymore. But this was good. I like this. I like this. But going backwards, happy birthday, Master Bob, Frank Wetzel, my older brother. If he's watching or anything, you missed it in our robotic dungeon there we had for a few minutes.
Yeah, our little...
Mm-hmm. So it looks like we got Todd is watching on Facebook. And we got Glenn. Oh, no, Todd's watching on YouTube. We got Emily and Steve Benuelos watching on Facebook. We also want to say thank you to a couple people who have subscribed to the channel in the last week. So that was... Yeah. It's always exciting. Cool. A gentleman named Lou Gibbs who reached out to us and said he was really excited to see our show and all that.
And looking forward to tonight's episode.
Oh, we're waiting for it.
We were looking forward to it too until that first 5 minutes.
It was a club remix, Jay. It's I'll tell you,
it was a redo.
We've been doing this for 5 years. We're on 12
still
seasons,
can't get it right.
And we still screw it up. I finally got the transition right from the intro to us showing up. So you see our pretty faces.
And the pretty set. And we're closer now, so you can see my ugly face and all that. But, tonight... Thank you, microphones.
Oh, hi, Lou. Welcome. Now I'm on the Facebook app. Now you're on Facebook. Yes.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for
Thank you for joining, subscribing to our channel. I saw that you're local, so
yeah.
We love doing this. We were just hopefully you missed the 5 minutes of
hopefully you missed the first 5 minutes
of Russ.
Now we're good.
Okay, let me go to...
Yes, other things that we need to talk about before we move on to the shipwrecking.
Good job fixing it. Oh, thank you.
Pillage
good.
Overload.
I think you mean good.
now that we've wrecked the show, let's get this underway. So
we didn't totally wreck it.
No, the beginning, but we're good now. It's all good. All right, so we're working on some stuff. We've been working on weather bottles.
You want to talk? You're totally skipping over. You want to talk about that first before the cold stuff?
The cold stuff?
The cold stuff? The donate?
Oh. Well, whatever. Yeah. So before we boot,
he's so excited.
Before we boot Mr. Willis off tonight, let's talk about it. Yeah. So what? Next week we're going to be doing Polar Plunge. That is going to be in Virginia Beach, and we're going to be having fun with that. We're going to be freezing our butts off.
We're not going to be if
you haven't donated yet,
we're not going to be freezing our butts off as we could have been. Because it's finally warming up here in Virginia.
Thank God. Hopefully this sticks around. Those comments aren't moving.
They are.
So, yeah. We're going to be doing that next week. So, I almost dropped my coin in my drink. So that was cool. So that'll be fun. Make sure you donate. There's a couple of people in our crew also doing it. Linda Hughes is taking donations. Mr. Brown is taking Chris Brown.
And then we had 3 additional folks that are friends with Mr. Willis that are big supporters of it. And what's pretty awesome is that Loose Cannon Company as a crew has raised $2,200, and we're like 65 in the list of the donation list.
The groups that are taking donations.
Which, if you look at the donation list, I think it's like 20, 30 pages. And when you scroll, we're on page 7. Lucky number 7. Bring back the smoke machine. No! You people on the damn smoke machine. No!
Oh, you all got to wait till Halloween for that. So.
Well, maybe not. Depending on where we're at.
Yeah. Damn, maybe I'll just bring it out and surprise you guys.
Oh.
See, now you got to watch to find out.
Anyway, so the link's on our page. I will put the link into the video, this YouTube description. I can't speak. In the description, I'll have a link on there as well. So, but it's awesome. We've been doing it with Mr. Willis since 2018. Of course, that man's been doing it way longer. Actually, from the first time that we ran into him, we met him at the Polar Plunge before we even know who he was. Oh, Jesse. Shh, God, you guys suck. No smoky for you. Maybe another time. We still got plenty of episodes. Remember, we're only on episode 3, and we're doing 12 this season.
Yeah.
So not yet.
How about that?
What was I saying? Oh, so we are joining this year because Old City Pirate Days is on a separate weekend from Polar Plunge, so we were planning on going in anyway. Unfortunately, we're not going to Old City Pirate Days, which would have been this weekend.
Yeah.
We would have been packing up and getting a good night's sleep tonight and heading out tomorrow to Florida.
But we're not. Unfortunately. They are still having some kind of event down there, so if you're down there, still head up to St. Augustine and be a part.
Hi, Janet. Jan says going out to eat. They'll watch the episode when they are done. Have an enjoyable dinner. That's right. It's dinner time for the West Coast.
And pay attention because one of the shipwrecks we're going to talk about happened off the coast of Oregon.
Yes. So, you'll be excited when you hear that because it's more shipwrecks.
How about that?
So, anyway. But like you were saying, we're working on a bunch of stuff for the store. We finally got the weathered bottles up on the website. Did you wear old-time bathing suits? No. Oh, God. You guys you're on something tonight.
Mr. Benuelos.
You are totally smoking something tonight. So.
You would not want to see me in a bathing suit, sir.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's new time or old time.
So whether.
There is no time.
You're weathered like our bottles.
Yeah.
They're old bottles.
So, yeah, the bottles went up on the website. We're working on various pirate shirts. She's actual shirts, like pirate shirts like these.
I'm in the process of
swag. I'm working on barrel stave signs.
Like this one. He's making more of these. They look so pretty.
But even better than that one because that was kind of my first attempt.
I still think that's awesome as shit. I don't care what you say.
It's a little hard to read.
Well, yeah, because it's behind us and it's a camera and blah, blah, blah. I think it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, so darling, gorgeous.
I'm working on those. I got a bunch of staves. Mm-hmm. And so give me ideas of things to put on them. Sayings.
One of the sayings that we were talking about was don't feed the pirates.
Yes. We're doing that for camp.
Feed pirates bad.
But I'll make one to sell if you want one.
Well, in camp, it's for sale. We'll just make another one the next time. So
yeah. So we got the newsletter coming out for February.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to start back
I
up.
am finally getting off my ass.
So we can keep you guys up to date on what we're doing and what the pirate community in general is doing.
If you are already subscribed to the newsletter, you know at the bottom of the newsletter, I try to put events going on within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Not just events that Parlay 8 and Loose Cannon Company is doing, but events across the world for world domination.
What are we doing tonight, Pinky?
Pinky and the brain.
Taking over the world.
Taking
Actually,
over.
I'm Pinky. She's the brain.
You're so sweet. We're gonna be taking over the world. Same thing we do every night.
And bring your comment, Mr. Willis.
It's the
I know
same.
You got something to say.
It's the same thing we do every Thursday night, Pinky. We take over the world. put these nuts on one. No. But this week's episode is part 2. Part 2. From our shipwreck and salvage episode of last week. We focused on the 1715 salvaging efforts of that time era, so Golden Age piracy. Tonight we're going to talk more of the modern salvaging, the issues they came up with rights, and we're going to, hey Keith!
Some of the wrecks.
Some of the wrecks. When they were found, what they found on them. We're going to talk a little bit about the wrecks. There is one wreck we'll get into in depth because it was something. And it's
not in our time period,
no.
So it didn't happen in the Golden Age piracy, but it was a hell of a wreck.
It's really
and it has a hell of a story.
It's really important to note that one though, because of when we start talking about the salvage rights of a lot of these ships, it's very finicky. Like the rules are different everywhere, so it's just very, very interesting. But there's 5 key factors to determine ownership that we learned. First and foremost is sovereign immunity. So basically, warships and military vessels are always considered property of the country that commissioned them. Most of the time, they're war graves, and that is why. They don't give a rat's ass what you find there. So
no rat's asses.
No rat's asses here. No rats for you.
No rat's asses given.
No rats. Territorial waters. So shipwrecks found within a country's territorial waters are often belong to that country, and that's something to keep in mind because you would think that like all the wrecks off of the coast of the United States. They belong to the United States.
They're ours.
They're ours. They're only ours.
Our water, our wreck.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Or the insurance company's wreck.
Yes.
What's that way?
That's not one that's actually listed. We'll kind of go on number 5. Number 3, historical and archaeological protection. So many countries in international conventions protect historical significant wrecks from commercial salvage and salvage.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Australia actually being one of them. Australia has a big thing that if you find anything from a certain time period, you're actually not allowed to dive on the wreck. Well, you could dive on the wreck. You're not allowed to take anything from the wreck. Yes. It's not finders keepers, basically. It depends.
It depends on the wreck.
It depends.
And that's a lot of times fought out in courts.
Yeah.
Because all the people coming at it once you find it. So they work all that out. Well, and sometimes finders do get to keep. It does happen.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like we said,
yes.
And we'll talk about this later, goes to the insurance companies, and then the salvagers get what's left.
So Mikey says Canada is big on that as well, which is true. So number 4, we're mostly kind of talking about U.S. on some of these things, but Abandoned Shipwreck Act in the U.S. allows shipwrecks embedded in state waters belong to the state. So, like Yorktown and things like that. For example, Queen Anne's Revenge.
North Carolina,
because that was a big fight over state and the salvagers. As long as you keep your mouth shut, right? They're not going to know where. They're not going to question where all the gold came from.
You're more right than you know, Mr. Willis.
Yeah. And then the last one is private salvage, which it would seem the most obvious. In some cases, salvage rights may be granted to those private entities, but they're often subject to legal and ethical regulations. And lordy, those rules, they go deep. I mean, you're talking a nightmare of getting into things. And we talked about the Spanish fleet of 1715 last week, and that was not formally claimed by the Spanish. It was a Spanish fleet, but it was not a Spanish military fleet. It was all merchant ships. So it doesn't fall under the category 1 of
what they were carrying. Obviously belonged to Spain.
Yes.
But it wasn't on Spanish military ships.
Yeah.
It was on Spanish merchant ships. So
they
technically really...
Well, they didn't assert their claims for a couple of reasons. One, the fleet was mostly merchant vessels. So that was. 2, the Spanish crown actually salvaged as much as they could. Remember, we talked about from the 1715 and 1718, they salvaged it, and then they just abandoned it.
Yeah, they ended up getting a lot of it back anyway. So they really didn't need to file claims on it because they got the majority of it anyway.
Yeah. And then over time, when Spain ceased their efforts in recovering those treasures, it was considered that they abandoned it. So under international maritime law, abandonment can result in the loss of sovereign immunity to the original owner. So because they salvaged it as what?
Objection,
Your Honor. They're more like guidelines. Yes, they are, sir.
Than actual rules.
But so basically, Spain gave up his right after it finished salvaging on the 1750 wreck and ran away. And when the wrecks were rediscovered during the 50s and 60s, they were all by Mel Fisher. And then under they had salvage laws.
You found most of them, not all of them.
Not all.
There's actually still... we said there are still a couple that haven't been found.
But they own the rights of all those. They actually own the rights.
Mel Fisher does?
So Mel Fisher owns the right. Well, hold on. Mel Fisher originally owned the right to all of them, even though if they weren't found, and they sold the rights to another passed down to let another group come and look for it. Yes. But it's been established it belongs to them, and now it needs to be passed down. So
there's that. See, complications. There's this salvaging is a very complicated thing. Yeah. It's not just straightforward. You find the treasure, you get to keep it. Oh, no.
As Lindsay said, finders keeper doesn't really work. So if Spain were to actually try to assert a claim today, they would finish.
Rewind.
If Spain would try to get their claim today, they would be like down the hole.
Yeah.
Because first off, it's unlikely they would go for it. And it's unlikely they would even have an opportunity to win. So, in your face, Spain. But many countries do offer generous salvage awards to encourage divers to locate these wrecks. Yeah. Obviously, Australia, France, and all of them.
Yeah. And they're not going to, they're not going to tell you not to. No. But they're going to definitely be involved.
They're going to encourage. And then you have the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Mellow it down, keep your big mouth shut.
So, for example,
yes.
We kind of hit on this wreck a little bit, the SS Central America.
Actually, I don't think we said it just yet, but now you did. We talked about the insurance of it.
Yeah.
The name of it is...
the SS Central America, which is kind of what I was referring to earlier when we were talking about insurance companies getting involved. Because in this case, 38 insurance companies got involved. They had underwritten the ship's cargo, and they all suffered financial losses when it sank. And it sank in 1857. So really, I mean, in shipwreck history, that's not that long ago. So a lot of these companies are still around. So when it was discovered in the 80s, they filed their claims. And they became involved in the legal battles over it all. And, it was a mess.
Mikey says, I found it on the beach.
And they filed their claims on the gold based on their original payouts from the disaster. So, as much gold as was on that ship.
There was a lot of gold.
We'll talk about that later, too.
A lot of booty.
We're going to kind of spend the end of the episode on that particular wreck because it was an infamous wreck.
Actually, we're going to probably before we get into the 5. I have it earlier.
Or you want to do it now?
Well, in a few moments.
Sure.
So the ship is called the SS Central America. So we figure it'd be important to point out the designations of a ship if you do not know. So SS means
steamship.
CSS means
Confederate steamship.
Well, if you were thinking about, you have the SS Monitor and Merrimack, which,
or in this case, what we were just talking about, the Central America
was an SS
ship.
The USS is
United States ship.
And the RMS is a Royal Majesty ship, like the RMS Titanic.
Yeah.
And then HMS.
Her Majesty ship.
His Majesty ship.
Or His Majesty in this case now because we have a king.
Are lawyers bigger pirates than pirates? Yes! They wait for the salvage to be taken.
They just do it legally.
They did it like Henry Jennings did it. Well, they wait till they salvage. They wait till they get SS Minnow. Really? Wait a minute. The Minnow was not a steamship.
No. Well, I don't know.
3-hour tour.
Unless it was run by a steam engine.
I don't remember it being like. Oh, that's screwed my head. So, shit. What were we talking about?
Thanks, Keith.
But bigger pirates. So we talked last week about Henry Jennings went on the beach where they were having the salvage operations and basically took all the money from the salvaging. They're your lawyers at the same point. So.
Yeah. They're fighters, them lawyers.
And then the skipper, yes. And Gilligan, the skipper too. The millionaire and his wife. The movie star. The professor and Marianne.
Scares me that you actually know the
I
words.
love that show. I obsessively watched that.
Anyway.
This actually looks like me. So... Modern tools for salvaging obviously were very different than they were back in the 18th century. The biggest key was
they would be
radar.
Sonar.
Sonar. That's a better term. Yes.
Sonar. What they're referring to mowing the lawn. That's when they take the boat and they throw the sonar thingy.
It's just a sonar tube.
They throw the tube. It's basically it looks like a little rocket.
It looks like a torpedo.
But
don't say that when don't go torpedo away and when you're on the water.
They throw it off the back of the boat and they tow it.
Torpedo away.
And they tow it back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Mike said the towfish. Is that what?
Towfish, yes. The gaydar, no transducer. The official term is towfish.
Willis,
I like still calling it
this close, sir. This close.
You're going to be muted, sir.
They throw it off the back of the boat and they tow it in a pattern like mowing the lawn. So they will go back and forth so to cover an area. Wherever they're searching.
Bo and Mikey have one for their business, and from what we've talked about in the past, they actually use it to help find the ships in Yorktown River.
And those puppies so don't come cheap.
But they're so freaking cool. I was just watching a Nat Geo episode on the Great Lakes, and they were just they threw the towfish in the water when they were going to get fuel, and they just happened to go over a wreck. And the sonar image is clearly a ship on the bottom. Like it sank just straight down. It is so awesome.
Sonar has gotten very
transducer.
Very good. Yes, transducers.
So obviously they still use winches and cranes like they did back then. Maybe not so much in the modern era. Back in the 18th century, it's more chains.
Yeah, where they would have actually taken a chain and dragged the bottom to loosen things up and
hopefully grab it and drag it along.
We know Mel Fisher used, and I don't know if this is up here, but I don't think it is.
No.
They actually
You're
came
talking
up
about
with
the
an invention.
prop wash?
Yes, where they have a hydraulic system and tubes that face down towards the bottom of the ocean.
So it goes.
And you can just stop right now.
Sorry. I'm excited. It's been an interesting afternoon.
Am I good now?
Show. You're good. Go ahead.
So
Continue.
they drop it off the back of the boat, and it takes the prop wash and points it down towards the bottom, and they rev up the engines and shoot it towards the bottom to clear off the sand.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Mel Fisher invention, and it works really well, actually.
Steve Van Wall says in Pirate Days they threw you over the back holding a rock. Yep, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, when they were salvaging the 1715 fleet, that's how they did it. They actually had diving bells back then too, so they would drop a bell in the water for the divers to be able to not have to come all the way up to the surface to get air.
That was, I think, they were a pretty new invention on with that.
Yeah, they'd pop up in that, take a few breaths, and go back down.
Yes, I lost my shit. Everybody's like, "You're crazy." I am crazy. I've gone loco tonight.
So yeah, they also use the airbags. So when they find something heavy, like a cannon per se, they would attach the airbags to the cannon and float it up to the top.
They also use the airbags to spot some of the wrecks too. We've noticed to be able to. They'll attach buoys. It to. Yeah, thank you. Buoys. That's the term. Buoy.
They'll
not David
buoy up and let it float on the surface so they can come back and find the wreck.
We all float down here. So I did want to. I have. Because this was a big topic that we were talking about and we thought it was really interesting. So SS Central America was not during the Golden Age piracy, but still like mid 1800s. So when we start talking historical and things like that, I think it's still an important lift bags. Yes.
Yes.
I like buoy.
It's an important historical shipwreck.
For many reasons. It's for financial reasons to the U.S. It's for the legality of what happened at the end and just the story about the whole thing is holy shit. So people, hold on to your seats. We're about to tell you a story.
Yes, of a lovely shipwreck. So
3-hour tour. I don't know if the Professor Marion was on this one.
So the ship itself was actually launched in 1852. When it sank, it was en route from Panama to New York. And it was also carrying passengers, but it was also carrying a F-ton of gold, which gave it actually the name the
Ship of Gold.
Ship of Gold.
What they said it was $2 million in 1852, $2 million in that time. In modern equivalency is $300 million.
Yes, of gold. And it was carrying money from the California gold rush. So obviously this was its final voyage.
Yeah, because
it departed from Colón, Panama on September 3rd, 1857.
Because
bound for New York.
Before you finished, I thought the California gold rush people would take their ship down to basically the Panama, because there was no Panama Strait at that time. There was no Panama Canal. They would trek over land, and then they would get to the port where this was at, and they would take this port up to New York. Yeah, that's how they got it to
the East Coast back then, before the Panama Canal.
Kind of similar to how the money from 1715, how they got it from the western part of South America to get it to Spain.
Right.
Continue on, Bellist.
So, it like I said, it departed from Colón, Panama, on September 3rd, 1857.
And what do we know about
bound
September?
For New York City. September is the middle of hurricane
season.
So there were passengers, crew, which totaled about 578 people on board when it sank. The casualties were 425, so 153 people actually survived the wreck or the sinking.
Are you kidding me? As much as we've been reading about this, he knows a lot about this shipwreck.
They were rescued by other ships, And of course, with all that gold on board, there was a huge economic impact in the United States at that time. It actually contributed to the financial panic of 1857.
That's crazy.
Which,
one ship.
Yeah.
Basically,
there were banks that went under at that time. It crashed the economy pretty hard that year.
Which is really important to note that there was multiple insurance companies that had to pay out on this.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Like I said earlier, still existed when they found the wreck.
Cards.
I'll give you a cue card, sir.
I know more than you do.
Don't give our secrets away.
Mad dog. But it's amazing to think that one ship made such an impact on our global economy. I mean, if you think about that nowadays, would a single ship or even a single truck, think about how prominent semi-trucks are going back and forth, or trains even at that.
Here's the main reason that it affected the economy so bad. Back then, gold was the standard. So they didn't rely on cash like they do now.
Can you standard again, please?
So if you lost that much gold,
you
screwed. Lost everything, basically. There was nothing to back it up.
back it up.
So that was the reason that it hit the economy so hard.
That and a lot of the money from the gold rush is what was supporting the economy.
Yeah, all these banks and everything,
Economy based on the gold standard. And it's, what dare I say, kind of pretends to be, but we're not going to go into that. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to stay in the 1850s right now, right?
Unfortunately, it's not that way anymore.
Well, what happened in 1988 when I was... Ow, I just cracked my jaw.
So, yeah. On to the discovery of the wreck. It was discovered in 1988, like she said.
I love the guy's name who found this ship, by the way.
His name was Tommy Thompson.
I feel like just going Tommy Gun.
And he was the leader of the Columbus America Discovery Group. That was the name of the group that was searching for the ship. And that was Tommy Thompson's group. It was found at a depth of about 7,200 feet.
Where was it found?
Off the coast of South Carolina.
So immediately you would think, first off, SS means steamship. That means it's not a military ship, so can't be claimed by the U.S. 2, it's off the coast of America. So according to the American Salvage Act, it should be claimed by the state. So that's what we're kind of going with here. And I guarantee you that's what Tommy Thompson thought when he first went after this. Yeah. In a way that we were saying earlier, that they like to encourage salvagers. So
yeah, they wasted no time bringing the gold up because there was coins.
It took them 4 years after 4 years of research and going out there and finding bits and pieces before they actually found it.
Yeah, they researched long and hard before they ever found the wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did find it, they wasted no time bringing up the gold coins. Mm-hmm. There were artifacts and
they have footage,
gold bars
of them bringing back the gold in what looks like kitty litter boxes.
Yeah, and boxes this big square just stacked with gold coins. It was insane.
I'm not sure what the territorial limit is for claims. I know it's definitively the shelf along the country. Beyond that, I'm not positive. I'd have to look. There's a lot of information. We didn't get too much of some of the details. So good question.
Yeah, there were so many legal battles around this, the recovery of this gold.
Yeah.
And, because Tommy Thompson also had investors that were supporting his search. So, he was also responsible to these people too. So they obviously were involved with everything that happened after the wreck was found.
161 investors. When we first... So I guess I should back up and say that we actually watched a 3-part miniseries documentary on Disney Plus called Cursed Gold, The Ship of Gold, right? Is that what it was? Something like that.
We'll just go with Cursed Gold.
Cursed Gold. We went to go back and rewatch it for this episode because we wanted to refamiliar ourselves on it and cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah, so
It premiered August of 2024. We cannot find it.
Apparently, they pulled it down.
I think the investors and the insurance companies didn't like the light they were put in, so it got yanked down. That's the only thing I can think of.
It was a fairly new documentary. I think it was as of last year.
This
right?
was August of 2024. Yeah. Talk about a little bit about his team recovered and legal disputes.
So,
Steve saw it.
Yeah,
Steve and Wallace saw it.
So, like I said earlier, there were 38 insurance companies that had originally paid out claims for the gold.
38.
Yes, that's what I said. 38.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said 138.
And for the gold, they got lost in 1857.
Yeah.
And Thompson and the CADG, they sued him for ownership rights, of course. So this went on for years. There were huge legal disputes between him, the insurance companies, the investors.
The 161 investors who invested in $12.7 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So they ended up settling with the insurers in 1988. Or 98, sorry. They found it in what, 80?
They found it in 1988. So 10 years. Yeah, 10 years after following it.
10 years in court.
They settled the insurers agreed to give them 8% of the recovered treasure.
Yes. So that allowed Thompson's team to retain the rest. So
whatever the rest was.
You would think at that point
they had enough money.
It would be done.
Yeah.
But no. Next come the investors. So the investors were like, well, we gave you all this money to go find the wreck. Now you got to pay us back.
Mm-hmm.
So despite how much gold was recovered, the investors claim they never received the promised returns.
They did.
So now
they received some.
Yeah.
But they didn't receive all. Yeah. I just want to make sure we clarify that they did get some.
At this point, they're personally calling out Tommy Thompson, saying,
"Liar, liar, pants on fire!
You never gave us what you promised us." I
would call bullshit
and
too.
He had also sold a lot of the gold. He made around $50 million out of that.
And that part of the $50 million went back to the insurance companies, to pay the costs.
None of this went in his pocket.
No,
because he was still paying people.
He was paying the people. He was paying his crew and the people that were with him that helped him find this, the ROV, the ship. There's a lot of payout.
And of course, the investors are still calling him out for mismanaging funds, not paying them.
And that all led to evasion and his arrest.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So at this point,
it gets deeper, folks.
At this point, Tommy Thompson's freaking losing it because he's now pissed off because he spent all this time looking for this wreck and busting his butt because it was not an easy task. So he's getting pissed off. So he goes on the run. He disappeared in 2012.
I would too.
There were a bunch of court orders wanting him to explain why the money was missing.
He was MIA for at least 3 years.
Yeah, he was.
Emily. But wait, there's more.
And there is more.
Yep.
He was actually captured in 2012.
2015, 3 years later. He went in hiding in 12.
He disappeared in 15. Sorry.
Yeah. He was captured in 15. He disappeared in 12. So he was on the run for 3 years.
And where was he captured, Emily? He was captured in Florida.
He's the Florida man.
He was on the run for 2 years when they got him.
They found him in a luxury hotel with cash and fake ID. So I wonder where he got that cash from.
Yeah. And
do you now? Do you? Do you?
So he pled guilty
for contempt of court because he didn't show up for. So in that 3 year time frame, he was supposed to go to court.
Which
he didn't show up
for because he was on the run.
So he pled to contempt of court, and then
he bled.
So yeah, he did.
He bled money,
and it took 3 years before he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, $250,000 fine, for that contempt that he pled guilty to.
Yeah, that's
But-
just for the contempt.
As of recent, he still remains in prison for refusing to disclose the whereabouts of the missing treasure.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that was part of the plea,
which
or
I'll tell you what,
whatever
man,
bargain it was.
I honestly don't blame him for not disclosing where the rest of the treasure is.
I mean, at this
I'm
point,
sure
just
there's
keep your mouth
somebody else
shut.
out there that knows, besides him, because I don't know that he would hold that. I mean, they're not going to release him until he tells them. So why not?
But
You know.
where's the gold, Mikey? Where's the shiny stuff? Hey, you
Where is
guys.
the gold?
Hey,
I don't know.
remember,
You're gonna have to ask Tommy Thompson that
Goody
question
generation here.
because he's apparently the only one that knows.
Yeah, no.
And they're not
going
going to release him until he tells.
Yeah, his story definitely remains one of the most infamous cases of treasure hunting that's just completely gone wrong.
Yeah,
The man did the research. He pioneered some awesome ways to recover the treasure.
because that's when they were just starting. I mean, sonar was getting big, and they were using
Sonar was
ROVs. ROVs were,
He buried it on an island.
were
He's a pirate.
ROVs were the technology for ROVs was getting pretty crazy at the time.
I think on they tinkered and made some of their, I don't know if it was their own dive-in or any of that to actually go down to those depths. The articulating appendages, for lack of a better term, to be able to pick up
Yeah,
and all that stuff. That was really cutting edge when he did it in the 1980s. So
you think it's somewhere in the USA, huh, Steven?
Mikey says it's somewhere buried on an island.
Yeah.
Somewhere with the minnow.
It's just like pirate treasure. Everybody's got their little story about where they think
It's somewhere
where they
with
think it's at.
Gilligan, Marion, and the professor.
How about this? Let's go down to Florida and let's go ask him. See if he tells us.
I'm sure if we go down to Florida and start going on the beach, we're going to find other things. But it's interesting. It's in Florida where he brought the gold and all that, and the wreck is in South Carolina. So
Allegedly.
allegedly. We always talk about allegedly. So
on that note, we're
are.
going to move back to wrecks from history. And
That is a history wreck. 1850s was very history.
Let me quantify that.
You,
See, I dropped it
you
again.
can sleep here.
Hi,
Hi,
Mr.
Tucci.
Earlier shipwrecks,
It's in
like
the
from
swamp.
our time, golden
When he
age of
says, yeah, I was
piracy.
going to say when he says our time, the golden age piracy.
Yeah,
So these are the most notable wrecks from the 1600s to the 1800s. In over 9,000 feet of water, exclusively used ROVs. One of the first to do any extensive salvage that way. Yep, I remember that was he actually.
well, I can imagine him and Bob Ballard were probably the only two people out there really using ROVs at the time.
Yeah, because Bob Ballard.
That's right before that was when they found the Titanic.
Titanic was found in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Titanic was found 1985, 2.4 miles beneath the ocean surface. And what was significant about that one, while we're talking about these wrecks, what was significant about that wreck was Rob. What was it? Rob Ballard. Was it Rob Ballard?
Bob Ballard.
Bob Ballard. He was hired by the U.S. Navy to find a Scorpion. The Scorpion was a submarine that disappeared, and they didn't know what happened to it. So how they found the Scorpion, and there was one other wreck, and I don't remember the name of it, but they found it by the debris field before they actually found the wreck. And Ballard took that knowledge of looking for the debris field to be able to find the ship is how he found the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
And he only had
3 weeks, I think.
No, he had less than that.
Really?
He had a short time frame to be able to find the Titanic, and the whole idea was that this whole trip of him out there and them looking at the seafloor was him looking for the Titanic when they were actually looking for these submarines. So, pretty amazing on that.
It was undercover.
It definitely showcased deep sea recovery technology, and personally for me, that's what got me into shipwrecks and just when you go down there, and obviously it being so far below, it's in a cold, dark environment where there is plenty of items that are preserved, but you still have the creatures and all that to eat the iron and create the creatures, and they create
mermaids.
They create rusticles, which is basically them shitting out the rust. That's what a rusticle is.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I know, it's so romantic, isn't it?
Thanks for that.
So next time you watch
nugget.
RMS Titanic and Titanic and 19, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Thanks for that little nugget.
So talking,
Literally.
focusing on the 1600 to 1800 shipwrecks, which is what I want to look at. Nuestra Senora de las Mercedes.
Yeah, I'll let you pronounce the Spanish sounding.
She sank in 1804, and we were kind of talking about her earlier with the 1715 wreck. She was found in 2007 off the coast of Portugal, and she was a Spanish frigate that carried gold and silver from South America when it was sunk by a British ship.
Imagine that.
Do we hear?
A Spanish ship with gold from South America.
Yeah, and sank. But Spanish,
what a surprise.
So Spain successfully claimed ownership in a legal battle because she is a military ship. So that was the difference between her and the 1715 wreck. The case reinforced that warships remain the property of the nation that commissioned them, regardless of whenever that they were. Regardless of the time frame that is coming on. I see Willis comment on here.
What did he say?
I don't know. There's a blank.
Something stupid, probably.
He said very interested. He said,
I've just seen a lot of blank.
I have too, but him and Lindsay, and they're both from Facebook. The Titanic was last Bob Ballard published the coordinates too because of so many groups coming and messing with it. And that is the sad part, what Mikey said. And it's a lot of reasons why a lot of these shipwrecks end up being claimed to be like graveyards. You talk about Arizona, you have to have strict permission before you can dive on it because there were so many commercial dives and they were just taking stuff from them and they were trying to plundering. They were trying to preserve history, but I remember when the original images came out from Titanic. Like I was obsessed with it.
I remember when
I don't remember when they originally came out. I mean, I remember 10 years later when they came out.
Was freaking out.
So the images that came out in the 90s
it was in the news every day. Like how stuff gets in the news every day now. That was big.
So when
1985.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
But based on
these 80s discoveries, I was making sure I had the right date.
So on the 100th anniversary, they actually released more updated pictures from the original pictures they released. And in the new pictures from those originals that they showed, you would see boots, pairs of boots, lots of pairs of boots. And the reason why they didn't post those, they didn't share those, they actually blurred the shoes out, was because that's where the bodies sank. It was so morbid, that's why they blurred it out. So and you think about that's, and a lot of these
we don't care about that now. So we're morbid now, so who cares?
Shut up.
I think I'm kidding.
But a lot of the wrecks are resting places of these people who went down, whether it was all or portion of all that. So it's something to remember. And I don't think a lot of people, when it's, I don't know, it was like an amusement ride and attraction.
Like Ocean
you
Gate.
Go to Ocean Gate. Oh, Jesus.
Just send a couple billionaires down there and,
I am not going down that road with you at all.
Things happen.
So anyway, Nuestra Senora de las Mercedes is, she went down 1804. And then you have San Jose, who went down in 1708, which is why I was really curious that we talked about that, because this said 1708.
That's interesting.
But you said it was the 1715.
That was one of the ships that was part of the 1715 fleet. Maybe they just pointed it out because it was. Did it go out? Where'd it go? Where did it sink?
Cartagena, Colombia. Steven said they
never mind.
died at...
Maybe it was a different It's San Jose. That's
Hold on, wait.
Probably a common name for a ship.
We are going to talk about one ship that is a common name. It's number 4 on this. Steve said they died with their boots on, at least. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did. They didn't have much time, and they were in the icy-ass water, and they died with their boots
Most
on.
of them died with more on than that.
And no life preserver.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't die with that on.
No, they died out of preserver.
But anyway, I imagine San Jose is a common name for a ship. So
especially a Spanish ship.
We'll just go with that.
Known for its legendary treasure of gold, silver, emeralds, la la la. Anyway, it sank during a battle with the British. So Colombia claimed ownership as...
Wait, you mean the British and the Spanish fought in 1708?
Oh my God! Hold on, where's my book? It's definitely
out of town.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a list of all those. Codes too. Yeah, codes too. The Colombia actually claimed ownership of this ship because it was discovered within the territorial waters. And the indigenous group in Bolivia and Peru also argue claims based on the origin of the treasure because it said, it's my gold, it's ours, so we have a right.
Blah, blah, blah.
So current status is the Colombia's government has declared the wreck as a national heritage site that limits salvage activities. Basically, you can't have it. If I can't have it, you can't have it. That's what I was trying to say. Damn it.
Now, this is the one we were talking about that took place off the coast of Oregon.
Yep.
The Beeswax wreck of 1693.
Yep.
Which is actually, we saw
another documentary on this one.
It was discovered in 2018. Like I said, off the coast of Oregon. So this is a West Coast wreck.
I wonder if when they say identified in 2018 means when they actually identified it as the beeswax, or the guy who saw it and kept trying to get him to come look at it was when he discovered it.
It's a good question.
I don't know which one it is, but there's part of it.
Could have been.
Hi, Mark. Mark for Jay. Hello, sir.
Ahoy, sir. It could have been discovered earlier, but it was identified in 2018. So
yeah,
that's what we're going with. It was believed to be.
I believe to be
a Spanish galleon.
Surprise.
By the name of the San de Cristo
de Burgos, aka Shipwrecks,
was part of the Manila. I can do this.
Can you? This. I have faith in you.
It was part of the Manila I can't do this.
Manila Galleon.
Trade route.
There you go.
I can say that part.
Beeswax.
So yeah, that was the cool. All right.
Pause.
Take a break.
Breathe.
All right. That was the cool thing about this wreck. Is the reason it was called the Beeswax wreck was the artifacts that were recovered were blocks of beeswax.
You're getting it, vanilla. No, beeswax. Porcelain shards and teak timbers.
Yes, Chinese porcelain, because this was wet. Oh my god.
Milli Vanilli, please. So,
Blame it on the rain.
Josh Gates actually went and did an episode for Expedition Unknown, and they went on the beach and they found a shit ton of the Chinese porcelain along the coast, which was
they found the shards, and it was in little caves on the coast.
That was the
and up on the rocks.
Yep.
And there was Chinese porcelain because West Coast wreck.
White and blue porcelain was considered really high value back then, and that was one of the biggest things that they traded.
It still is, actually.
Yeah. Yep. That's why Williamsburg.
Yeah, like that's.
I love that laugh. It's like, yeah, I'm about to tell you something.
My parents had that stuff.
Yeah, Mom definitely has a bunch of that.
And she collected it. She had the white and blue, you've seen them. Everybody's parents had them, the white and blue porcelain plates.
Especially if you're in Virginia, it's definitely. And that's mostly why.
Motifs
mostly why Mom got it is because her sisters were here and that was gifted to her.
It's the same shit that they found on this rack.
Same shit,
it's
different
the same
day.
kind of stuff.
But also what's interesting is that the beeswax blocks.
See?
Not
that easy, is it?
That's all, folks. The beeswax was actually found like further inland, and what they do in a geological, like storming, whatever history, they found that there was a tsunami that came in after 1693. I think it was like between early 1700s or something like that, and basically destroyed the ship and pushed all the beeswax and up higher in elevation. So people were finding up there because for years everybody's like, we're finding this beeswax, and they're like, that's not beeswax, and they thought it was indigenous, and the indigenous people were like, hey, we've been finding this for years. So it's really interesting.
That it all came from this rock.
And they were able to pinpoint it and definitively identify it as what we call it as a beeswax wreck.
Speaking of identifying things, ownership.
Yeah.
So under U.S. law, this wreck likely falls under the jurisdiction of the state of Oregon.
Because
we were talking about.
It's a maritime wreck. It's off the coast of Oregon. It's in the United States. I imagine there is no insurance companies.
Yeah, so since it has historical archaeological significance, salvage rights are likely restricted by the Abandoned Shipwreck Act of 1987.
Which
and the show we saw really, there's probably not a whole lot to recover, and in that area.
Oh my God, no! If they're talking about how the hurricane and the tsunami just destroyed it.
Yeah, if it was just beeswax and porcelain, then we're just gonna go after that.
It wasn't. It was a trading ship. It wasn't more of bringing gold and all that to Spain.
Yeah,
that's
not like
not
the
what the purpose of this
artifacts
one.
Were super valuable, like it would be on a gold ship.
That's where the saying "mind your own beeswax" came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Number 4, and this goes back to other shipwreck that you were talking about, Le Griffon. So if you guys were following us last week,
if you're English like me, Griffin.
It's Le Griffon. It goes Le Fouf. Yeah. It's the French farts. Anyway, so 1679, not from the Spanish galleon. So in 1715, we talked about our lovely Spanish galleon that sank.
Yeah, the Griffin. It was this one.
No, Griffin's not here. The 10 that are here is the Spanish galleon. Griffin left.
Oh.
Griffin's on my desk at work.
Yeah.
So it's not the same Griffin. This Griffin was found in Lake Michigan, and the ship was one of the earliest European vessels to sail the Great Lakes. And the other fascinating thing about the Great Lakes is because of as cold as lakes are, they have a much better preservation of these wrecks, and it's amazing to see them when they actually get down there. So the wreck is subject to U.S. or Canadian jurisdiction, depending on where it's at. So these are... Sorry, Mark. Let's what? What?
He says speaking French to you?
He said what?
Don't be speaking French to my wife.
We're not sure if it falls under either Canadian or U.S. We didn't do the research. We understanding with the laws, it might be one or the other. Adam, I'm right here. Yeah, I see you, Griffin. It's O-N, not I-N. But it also might fall under Native American claims because just like the beeswax wreck, there are different disputes over whether remains belong to whoever they belong to. And that's where we go back to the beginning of the episode, is talking about the complexities of the claims of these wrecks.
Ooh.
The one claim,
do I get to talk about this
you
one?
can talk about this before you jump in. This one is no doubt who it belongs to. There is no question. And why is there no question?
Because it's the Vasa. That's why there's no question.
Why?
Because it's sitting in a building in Stockholm. It was raised. Obviously, we all know the story of the Vasa.
Oh, yeah.
1628. I'll give you a little...
Damn those engineers for letting her go. Mary Rose is another one. Just like...
obviously, we know the story. It sank on its maiden voyage. It had been in the water for about 45 minutes before it went.
I'm pretty sure that's an exaggeration, but possibly not. It got one good burst of air and went, never mind.
Yeah. For fuck's sake.
It said, let me.
It flipped over in the harbor in Stockholm. That's basically what happened to the Vasa. But the cool thing about it is that the waters in Stockholm
are
very
cold, like the Great Lakes.
So it preserved it really well. So when they raised it, they put it in a museum, and on your bucket list of things to do when you go to Sweden.
I want to go. 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 I want to go.
Because we've all seen the pictures of it. Good Lord.
I want to go.
We all know that they float around the pirate community, and we get to see a post on Facebook like once a week.
If I had to pick between the Mary Rose or the Vasa.
Yeah. So let's real quick. Obviously,
why is it claimed by Sweden?
Because
it's claimed by Sweden.
Because it was at the time a Swedish warship, and
it was in the Stockholm Harbor. So you not only had it as a military wreck, it's within the borders of the country. It's within the river of the country. I mean, how much more can you be blatantly obvious with that one? Mike Douglas.
It only made it like a mile offshore, so
yeah.
So yeah, there is preserved in the museum. Go check it out.
I want to go. In fact, my friend I went to college with, who owns Kim Delia Kilia Wear, her boyfriend is Swedish, so she gets to go over there, and she posted pictures one day. It's like, I hate you.
She was been to the museum.
Yes, she has.
Why would not? Of course, if you're going to go to Stockholm,
I am so jealous. How they found the Vasa was, I know part of the story, Mikey, but from my understanding is that it was actually a college professor who did the research and went looking for it. I don't know the exact, but it was one of those like, hey, I'm going to go find the Vasa.
Like, yeah, we don't know. We're not up to date right now as of who found it and who raised it. But it was found, it was raised, and it's in a museum in Stockholm.
And in Sweden, there's 3 amazing pirate bands. Yes, and was it Sweden that had the pirate bar that closed? I was so mad about that. They had that underground,
because that place was
that pirate bar. Cool. Yeah, like the cave, and I really was.
Yeah, there's a whole village. All right.
No. The village. Are you talking about the German?
I think, right.
No, you're talking about Germany? What's his name? Oh my God. Well, S2 was your nominee. That was him. You're talking about.
No, nothing. He ran festivals.
Yeah, but I thought you were talking about the village. No, I think. No. Okay, then we're talking about 2 different things.
I think we are.
We think we are. But
yes, there was a whole pirate village.
Topic for another week.
Wait, Mark Forget might know.
I know.
Where's that pirate village at over in Europe, Mark? Tell us, please.
If you don't, we'll catch
up. I don't know. I know what it looks like, and I can think of it in my head. And
you can think about it in your head.
See it in my head, but I can't remember where it was.
So it is 9:09. You guys have suffered.
9.
First off, you suffered the first 6 minutes of absolutely robotic torture.
An extra 9 minutes.
And chipmunks, apparently, because we sound like damn chipmunks.
Because we're good like that.
Yeah, no, Ralph is who I was thinking. Ralph.
Yes.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
We need to know.
He's talking about something completely different.
Village is.
You're not talking about the one in Germany, the one that Ralph does.
Ralph does a festival.
It's a pirate village too.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
In Germany.
Okay.
Maybe that's what you're thinking.
Maybe it's the same thing.
You might be thinking the same thing.
Okay.
We can research.
Yes.
We can say that for next week.
I've seen it in pictures, but I can't remember exactly where it was.
Oh, he's
obviously,
closing
Mr.
it.
Forget thinks it's the one in Germany.
Well, that's what Emily thinks too, and that's what I think. And unfortunately, Ralph is closing that. Right? He's not doing it this year. Or it's this year is his last year.
They stopped the festival, and they closed, I think, the pub in the village. But other than that, I don't know.
So that's something to be interested about. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with us for an extra 10 minutes, because we're always respectful of your time. We feel awful about the technical issues we had around this. I just need to make this a magic 8 ball and say, hey, are you going to work tonight, or are you not going to work tonight?
Or we can just leave it here and not touch it till next week.
I think we're gonna do that.
Maybe it'll work.
Why don't we just stick with one mic, and just be okay?
Yeah.
So we got to share.
I suppose.
We got to share. There's a big pirate village in the Netherlands.
Netherlands. That's probably the one I'm thinking of.
We'll look at that later. So next week we'll drink more rum since I can't. I work. Hey, Sonny boy. Glad you joined us, bud. Sorry you're working, but weekend's coming around. Rum o'clock soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, remember drinking
We're about to bail on you.
Remember, drinking before 10 a.m. doesn't make you drunk, makes you a pirate. So next week we are going to be live. Our episode is called Pirates Helping Pirates. And we haven't queued him up too much, but he did say yes. And we're going to have the infamous in the pirate community, Mr. Willis of Loose Cannon Company, a.k.a. part of our crew, our quartermaster, talking about
the Loose Cannon Company,
the charity work that he does with Special Olympics at the Polar Plunge, as well as the other work that we do as a crew through the year, because we do a couple of events. I think we do 3 events now during the year where we donate our time and black powder to a cause that we truly believe in. So there's a big pirate right here. Yeah, we know you're a big pirate. 6'3" goofy bastard.
Anyway, let's stop talking about Mr. Willis.
So we'll see you next week with Mr. Willis. We'll make sure we get him teed up. If you are in the Virginia Beach area this coming weekend, you might find us at Blue Sky Distillery. We're going to go sit there and hashtag drink more rum. Until next week, thank you for joining us. Those on Facebook, those on YouTube, Blue. John, I don't know if you're watching. If you are, I'm glad you joined us. Emily, Mikey, Glenn, Sunny Boy,
you guys.
Mark, Keith, Steve Benuelos, Adam. I'm going through the list, but thank you guys. You guys make this more enjoyable when you're in here and chiming in. And we hope you learned a little bit something about shipwrecks, because I love shipwrecks.
We hope you had fun. And we will see you next week.
So until next time, raise one and say hashtag drink more rum. Night.